Hi all. I didn't plan on this being the first video of the semester, but it's about 5:35 in the morning of our first day of class. And I did my morning practice, my morning mindfulness practice, and my thoughts turned to you all and to one of the things that you'll have on your mind and that you'll be doing this week, which is to be establishing or reestablishing a mindfulness practice, a daily practice. And we'll really use this week to really jumpstart it. It will take different shapes and forms over the course of the semester and ultimately become increasingly your own practice, the type of practice, the time to practice, the frequency of practice that works and is right for you. But because in many ways you'll be establishing a new habit or reestablishing one, the intention this week is every day to sit and practice at a specific time, a specific place, and in a particular manner that we'll talk about in class and that you've begun to think about. And while I was practicing today and my thoughts turned to you, a lot of ideas or images arose. At various times I thought to get up and write something down, and then I was aware that I had the thought and the impulse to get up and write something down, and that helped me stay steady in my seat. As we'll talk about in class, the awareness of our experience is really a liberating factor from being pushed and pulled by our experience. Or at least to be more discerning in whether or not we respond to the ideas and the thoughts and the impulses that we have, or whether we are able to find a way to steady ourselves in the midst of them. And so I went through a little bit of that. And then I was of the mind that I would just wait until the practice ended and then see whatever it is that I did or didn't still have in my mind or want to share with you. And so what I'm about to share with you would be one of the things that came to mind along the way. And it was something that I think might be helpful for you to bear in mind as you endeavor to do something this week, and then really for the course of the semester, and maybe for the rest of your life in one form or another, that is challenging. To sit, to plan to sit, to follow through on it. That's leadership and self-leadership this week that you'll be reading about. To set something in motion that matters, that means something, or at least that you want to experiment with the meaning it might offer, the utility that it might offer you. And so this was the what I wanted to share. While you're sitting there, in many ways, this head of ours, this is the imagery that came to me, and I live on the ocean, so that might have been somewhat relevant, but it's like you could have like those paintings where, the face is, there's no face, or there's just the outline of the head. So we could say a dimmed, if there's a slight dimming of the surface imagery of the head, and what you really see is like an ocean, really just water with a sense of atmosphere. And sometimes when we practice, it is busy in there. The water is like very wavy, like the ocean is. Some days I go out in the morning, and I'll be going out in a little bit, and it's very wavy. And sometimes the sky is filled with clouds and thunder, and there's a lot going on. We can think of metaphorically the water as our thoughts, thinking, and sometimes it's very choppy, very busy, lots of thoughts, monkey mind, mental chatter, all the terms that are used to explore that or to describe that. And sometimes it's very chaotic and there's a lot of action in the atmosphere. We can think of that as emotions. It's very emotionally charged, agitated. And sometimes when you practice, that is what you will be experiencing from time to time. At other times, it's more subdued. The water is definitely doing its thing, but it's more subdued. The atmosphere isn't quite as tumultuous in that way. And then sometimes it's rather almost like, sometimes I'll go outside in the morning and it's like a lake. It's amazing. in the sense of how different it can be. And it's very still. Maybe the water's just gently lapping, and the breeze is very subtle and cool, and in many ways, this is the nature of this mind. Now, it's like that, and it changes often throughout the day and across a lifetime. But when we sit and we set aside time to practice mindfulness, while we may be doing that, as we'll talk about, to feel more relaxed, to sort of try to establish that gently lapping water and not very much going on in the sky state of mind and body, we can't really make that happen. At least the efforts that we can do to feel calmer would be a different type of practice. And we'll talk about things that we'll do this semester to help relax and feel calmer. But when we sit and practice a mindfulness practice, our primary objective, or at least the primary objective of the practice for many, and as we'll explore it, is to notice the activity of the mind in particular. And by the way, there's some lightning out there, so my morning walk is possibly jeopardized. But that's okay, there's always tomorrow. And so the objective of our practice is to notice, to get to know, to observe patterns, to observe change, to pay attention to become interested, to become maybe a little bit more curious about, and to become more adept at being able to stay in that state of observing the activity of our mind, the thoughts and the feelings, and then in turn, or along the way, or even as a prerequisite or a predicate, the feeling, sensations in the body that are coming along, changing, becoming more intense, becoming less intense, dissipating, new thoughts coming along, a changed state of feelings and emotions, intense, subtleties and intense shifts and tensions and in the body. That's what we're doing. And so today when I practiced, it started pretty calm. Then I began to have thoughts, and it felt a little bit rocky and wavy, and then I got excited about certain things, or maybe frustrated about certain things, and then at various junctures along the way, I became a little bit more aware of what I was getting caught in thinking about. I shouldn't say I want to be careful with the word getting caught. We'll use that a lot in class, to get caught in the content of the mind. It's not a bad thing. It just means that the content of what's arising is somewhat captivating, and we sort of lose a sense of larger sense of awareness of our experience as we sort of zero in on and get pulled along by a particular thought. And so that would happen, and then there'd be moments when I would notice that was happening. And in those moments of noticing, that awareness that many of you spoke of in one form or another in your papers, that's a liberating quality. We step out of, or at least we get a little distance, psychologically we could say, or mentally we might consider it, from what a few moments earlier we were a little bit more caught in. It doesn't mean that when I was aware that I was thinking about something and wanted to, and was developing that thought or those ideas, that the awareness just instantly, everything went away. I wouldn't want that, and that's not what happens in my experience. But what it does is, it's like the water instantly begins to calm down. I don't mean calm like in a feeling calm, like, ooh, that's nice way. I think it's nice when the waters are going, and I think it's nice when the water's steady, because I'm interested in noticing it, and it's all good, meaning it's all good data to notice, to observe. It's all useful. But my experience and what I wish to share with you is that when you're practicing, you will have it where it's choppy, and it's rainy, and it's stormy, and it's calmer, and it seems to be not so much going on. And then a few moments later, it starts to pick up because you start thinking of something, or something reminds you of something, or whatever it might be. And this will be the nature of each day's practice, it will take its twists and turns. And what really are the golden moments that we're interested in cultivating and reinforcing and experiencing with increasing frequency, and this takes time and it takes practice, meaning it not practice like you have to work hard at something, but it's just sitting and paying attention. That's practice, sitting and paying attention. That there will be more and more of those moments of awareness, those little bursts at times of awareness, more sustained moments of awareness. Nothing special, nothing mystical. It's just that, at this moment it's choppy. At this moment it's still. At this moment I like that it's still. At this moment I wish it weren't so choppy. At this moment I'm aware of the experience, and that experience inevitably involves the thoughts that I'm experiencing, the feelings that I'm experiencing, and sensations in the body. And they all are flowing together. So I share this with you because it might be helpful for you at times when you're sitting and you're feeling a little bit like this is unfamiliar, or this isn't working, or I'm really liking this. Doesn't matter what the experience is, that at times you reflect on, are these choppy waters? Are these sort of typically, wavy waters? Are these still waters? And that you dawn that awareness of it. And I'm phrasing it like it's a thought, and it can begin with a thought. You can have the inquiry, which is this? But then immediately you have the opportunity to let go of the thinking about it. You've already pointed yourself in the direction of being interested in which it is, and then just notice until you stop noticing, because the waters get a little choppier. All right, this was a 12-minute video. We'll be working our way to 12-minute practices. And so I hope this is helpful. And at some point in time, rather than listening to somebody else talk, you'll be sitting for 12 minutes listening to yourself, among other things. Do the talking. Be well.